Hello, Dr. Chirag. Dr. Chirag.
Yes, ma'am.
You can share. You can share your screen.
Yeah.
Director, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
May I start?
Sure.
Director, sir, may I start?
Yeah, start. Please.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, properly visible.
Now it is in presentation mode. Right.
Yes, sir. Okay. So good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Shubha Dwivedi, an associate professor, IIMT Engineering College, Meerut. Welcome you all in today's Impact Lecture session, sponsored by Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, MIEC, AICTE, New Delhi. The eminent speaker of today's session is Professor Dr. Chirag Thaker, who is head in Department of Computer Engineering, LT College of Engineering, Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. IIMT Engineering College, Meerut, is one of the leading institutions under the aegis of IIMT Group of Colleges. IIMT Engineering College is affiliated to AKTU Lucknow, and it has achieved excellence in both scholastic and non-scholastic development of its students and is committed to contribute innovatively in the field of technical and professional education. The college is known for imparting high-quality professional qualification in the field of engineering and management. Honorable Chairman Sri Yogesh Mohanji Gupta, founder of the institution, started this journey in 1994 with the belief to promote Indian culture and research-based education to the new generation. Since then, the college has achieved many milestones and set high records of producing meritorious students in this field. IIMT Engineering College welcomes all aspirants in today's very important session, which is designed by Ministry of Education Innovation Cell. I am highly thankful to the respected director, sir, for giving me chance to coordinate this event. Thank you so much, sir. It is my request to the director, sir, to say few words before starting the session.
Thank you, Shubha Madam. It's a great pleasure that we are having Chirag Thaker, the Professor of Computer Science and Engineering, LT College of Engineering, Ahmedabad. And I welcome you, sir. And the topic is very, very important, and it is critical thinking and innovation design. And it is very important for the present point of view of time for faculty as well as students. So I really welcome, and we are all waiting for the live session for my students. So I request the sir to start the session.
Thank you so much, sir. It is my request to Dr. Chirag Thaker to start the session. Sir, I am giving you the right of the host, so you can share your slides.
Okay.
Yes.
Namaskar. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this IIC journey, which IIMT Engineering College Meerut has taken. Since ages, history says Meerut is very famous for the innovative part, the rebellion part. The freedom struggle was very much there as part of the Meerut ecosystem. The same.
डॉक्टर लगा लिया अब तो लेके आ
Dr. Chirag.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
You have disabled me for screen sharing, so you have to enable me for screen sharing.
Yes, sir. So you can share it now.
Okay. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir. It is requested to all the participants to please join this session live.
Thank
Kindly
you.
mute yourself. Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. As I was telling, Meerut has really been very pivotal in our freedom struggle, and not many things out of the box kind of thinking. And the same is now followed on the technology part from IIMT Engineering College, Meerut. I take this opportunity to salute the founding fathers of this the academic ecosystem. I take this opportunity formally to thank Dr. Sanjeev Maheshwari sir for welcoming me and being part of this Impact Lecture Series session. Dr. Vidyut Singhal, who is the coordinator and head of MPA department. And I personally thank Dr. Subha Dwivedi, who has been quite patient with my appointments and giving me this opportunity to be part of your IIC ecosystem. Madam is coordinator Impact Lecture Series and she is innovation ambassador also. And you really worked very hard in terms of making sure that people across the length and breadth of India, they are invited and they are made part of the IIC ecosystem, which you are having at your prestigious engineering college. Dear startup enthusiasts and all the innovation brains of IIMT Engineering College, my session is on critical thinking and innovation design. And let me start with this declaration page. I call it acknowledgement page. In this, I acknowledge that the presentation acknowledges the content, especially majority of my presentation is made up of images, and these images are taken from Google. And the universal Google image URL is www.images.google.com. There are many slides in which the image source is mentioned. There are certain slides not part of the presentation. But anyway, as a presenter, I declare and I humbly accept that the images are used purely for an academic purpose. And as a presenter, I have no intention of copyright infringement, because there are very few images which fall under the umbrella of common creative license. For the other images, there are the intellectual property rights and other issues associated. But as I declared that as a presenter, there is no intention of copyright infringement from my side. And this is used purely for an academic purpose. Now, with this declaration, let me go to the next slide. I generally start my slides with quotes from some of the finest brains or the human beings. The first one is from the father of the nation. He says, Gandhiji says, be the change you want to see in the world. And the second is from one of the finest brains the world has ever produced. And he says, I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction and the world will have a generation of idiots. So these are very thought-provoking quotes, and that's why I'm just releasing them for your interactive part.
Sir, you can share. Sir, you can share it again, sir.
Okay. Is it shared now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So now let us move to the slide, which is quite associated with what we are supposed to discuss today. The first one is on design thinking. It's not a subject, it's not a course, it's an empathy-centered approach to creativity. And the second is from Mr. Bruce. He says, when people talk about innovation in this decade, they actually mean design. So this is a very good statement, that when you talk about innovation, actually, it actually trickles down to design. This is going to be my flow of presentation. So I'll be talking about, I'll spend a couple of times talking about digital life and digital footprint. And then we will discuss about those big five companies and the innovation part. And then we will have some ideas and some slides dedicated to innovation basics and innovation ecosystem. And then I'll discuss the Apple example to make you what do we mean by human-centered design. And then we will have some thoughts on design innovation. And then we'll try to understand innovation process, the difference between invention and innovation, because we should not misjudge the invention with innovation. So a couple of slides are dedicated to understand the difference between invention and innovation. And then we will discuss types of innovation. So I have made a change in which I'll talk about the critical thinking part. Later on, I'll first talk about the innovation part, and then we will enter the critical thinking. So critical thinking and problem solving we will discuss, and then we will try to understand what do we mean by problem solving approach. How do we actually do all this kind of stuff? And then we'll discuss steps in problem solving, some types of problem solving, and then some final thoughts on critical and creative thinking. Now, this is all about digital life. Now, friends, here you can see that in the last decade, our bandwidth appetite has increased manifold. And what is the reason behind that? The main reason here is very simple. The reason says somebody has used the digital pen to mark these slides. I think as learned viewers, we should avoid doing this kind of activity. Yatakshi Chaudhary has raised his hand. Yatakshi, any query?
I think no query, sir. Maybe some mistakenly she has
Okay,
answered the
fine.
yes.
So continue with our digital life. Here you can see that our all walks of life is actually impacted by or dominated by the digital footprint. And what is a digital footprint? Digital footprint is nothing but whenever we visit internet, we leave a lot of trail behind us. And this trail is not only log files. There's a lot of likes, dislikes, you upload a lot of stuff and all this. And actually this creates your digital footprint. Now, what is the reason behind creating this digital footprint? The reason is very simple, that before this proliferation of social networking sites, we were only the consumer community. So very handful of people used to create the content. So there were very handful of content creators, and the remaining were nothing but they used to consume the content. But after the social networking revolution and the digital revolution, now we all are contributor community, and through social networking sites and digital platforms like Google, Facebook, WhatsApp, Gmail, and a lot of other media platforms, what we do is we all are contributors. We all are content creators in a small or a big way. And this actually makes this digital life, that has given a new meaning to this digital life. And that's why the slide which is there on your screen, you can see that there is a complete set of factory setup in which every activity of ours does create some or other form of digital footprint. And this digital footprint, when we actually observe very carefully, you can see here, this is what is the result. On the top left corner, you can see one person who is using one or a couple of devices is doing a lot of interactive part, and he is actually creating a lot of digital footprint. And what is the result? The result is there in front of you. It's an October 2021 slide. He says, out of the 6.5 billion people, there are 4.88 billion people. They are the total number of global internet users. And out of this, the internet users as a percentage of total global population is 61. So there are more than 61% people who are using internet. And the annual change in the number of global internet users are somewhere around 4.8%. And the average daily time spent using the internet by each internet user is nothing but it is 2 hours and 58 minutes. So I can say that on an average, there are over 7 hours where an active internet user spends on internet. And while doing this, what does he do? Is he creates this digital footprint. And this digital footprints actually results in mammoth size data. And that data now is measured in zettabytes. Now, what is zettabytes? Zettabytes is billion terabytes, a trillion gigabytes. So 1 trillion bytes giga times is zettabyte. And we are creating this zettabytes of data because of this. Now, out of this global internet traffic and internet use, there is one thing which is remarkable. Over the last 7 years, what actually we have done is we have created that the multimedia traffic has taken over the normal traffic. Now, what do I mean by normal traffic? Normal traffic means the traffic which is the text data, and this text data is now replaced heavily by the digital data or the multimedia data, the audio files, the video files, the live streaming, the video streamings, and all this. Now, because of this, the percentage of mobile users which are dominating this world is 90.90, almost 91%. Now, once we understand this, let us try to understand who are the major players who are actually getting benefited out of this. And this is a not balanced stuff. These 5 players whom we call Facebook, Amazon, Google, and when I say Google, it is not limited to Google search engine. It has a lot to do with the whole Google ecosystem, and then Apple and Microsoft. So these are 5 major players, and these 5 major players actually dominate all the other players. Now, what is the secret sauce? What is the secret sauce of them being either trillion-dollar companies or very near to 500 billion plus companies? So the reason or the secret behind them is in the revenue streams. So if we focus on Alphabet, you can see 88% of the revenue is from advertisement. If you focus on Microsoft, Microsoft is majorly a software and software development company. So their revenue is a little bit scattered from Office to Windows to Expos and all this. But Facebook advertisement dominates 97% of the traffic. Now, these 5 tech giants actually make their billions from revenue streams. Now, what actually is the difference? The difference is innovation. And this is where I enter the subject. So there is a statement from Mr. Steve Jobs, which I would like to quote here, that technology alone is not enough. It is technology married with or combined with liberal arts, with humanities, that yields us the result that makes our hearts sing. Now, this is from Steve Jobs. So he says liberal arts and technology, when they make a golden handshake, and company like Apple is created. So it's an ideation process that actually supercharges the innovation. So that's how I enter the subject called innovation. Now, once I have coined the term innovation, let us try to understand the innovation process. So first thing first, we need to understand that innovation is an iterative process, and it has many stages through which it passes. It always starts with a business idea or a business need, and this need might be driven by individual wish, or it may have empathy model. So there may be human-centered model, there may be an empathy-driven model, or it may have the business need. And this is very small and significant features which actually drives this business need. But then comes the ideation phase. This ideation phase and it has a lot of use cases to be discussed. And once you have these use cases are very much part of these, or they are sometimes on paper or whiteboard. And then you just try to map this ideation with the solution. So what is ideation? How to meet the need, because business need is already identified. The empathy-driven need is already identified. And now you try to just address that need. So how to meet the need is the first challenge, and you fulfill it as an innovator through ideation. After ideation, you always try to materialize it. And when you want to materialize it, you actually think in terms of getting the solution. So this ideation drives the solution approach. So it's called mapping part. So in this mapping, you just try to materialize the idea. Now your materialization of idea is done. You try to create the working model, whether it is a software stuff, an application, a portal, or a actual tangible product. You try to create the skeleton part. So how the solution? You may have more than one of the solutions, but looking at the feasibility part and the other aspects of viability and financial feasibility and all this, you just create one prototype. And this prototype is nothing but it's a working model. And once the prototype is shown to the user community or to the close circle of your innovation, and you my very good class, but I have to map it to the actual real life use. So that's where you will try to find out the valuation of your project, your innovation project, and ultimately you results it into production. Now there is a difference between creativity and innovation, because creative people and innovation has a lot of different stuff. I should not say they are distinct island, but there is definitely a very clear thin wafer like boundary between creativity and innovation. Madam, is it going in right direction? Am I audible and all this?
Yes, yes, yes. You're audible.
So creativity has all this plethora of words like ideas, imagination, thoughts, expression, concepts, ideation, brainstorming, and all this. Innovation is all about implementation, change management, product, measurable, tangible, action, invention, process, doing, doable, useful, and all this. Now, once you understand this, this very simple difference, let us try to take the example of Apple, because we started with an Apple quote from Mr. Steve Jobs that how innovation actually helps to create and come up with. So invention and then research and ideation and design. So my idea is to make you aware, and that's why I have created one Apple product lineup for your reference. Here you can see that a retina display, there is touch ID, there are portfolio covers, there are very sleek magic keyboards, there is very high battery life, Wi-Fi, they use the best of the 40% faster CPU. And how, because Apple is different. See, Microsoft do not make their own chips, and Google does not have their own hardware. Facebook do not make the software. They are using the hardware from other. But Apple is one company which is creating its own hardware and its own software, its own operating system, and all the components of the ecosystem. And that's why I given this example of Apple, where A14 by has made prominent stuff. And you can think about Air, and they keep on giving newer and newer and finer products. What is the secret? The secret source, let me just give you one. Suppose I take one international brand smartphone. They also make Apple iPhone, Apple phone, that is iPhone. And let us assume that both are having 12 megapixel camera. Now, if the definition or the technicality or the hardware configuration of 10 megapixel camera remains the same, because when I say megapixel, it is megapixel. So 10 or 12 megapixel camera. So let us take 12 megapixel camera example. So when I have 12 megapixel camera with an internationally brand phone, and I capture the image, and I take the same image using my iPhone, again 12 megapixel camera. When you compare both these images, why the Apple image, this Apple 12 megapixel image camera image is far better, or sometimes far better? The reason is doing something beyond the hardware definition or computation of 12 megapixel, and that is innovation. That's where there are algorithms, their optimization code actually makes the difference, and this difference nothing but is innovative practices. And Apple is doing this innovative practice. And that's why you have 20-volt USB-C charger from Apple. That's why you have A14 Bionic chip. Audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Sir, kindly share your slide again.
Yeah. Okay. My slides are yeah.
Not now, sir.
Can you see my slides?
Sir, it is uploaded. Yes, sir. Now. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, generally it takes sometimes 5 to 7 seconds delay. So that's why we have A14 Bionic Chip, 40% faster CPU, or you've got Touch ID, which is finest, and the example which Apple Pencil and all this. So this is design thinking, and this design thinking, this innovation process, they are actually intermingled. Now, once we understand that, let us try to understand the difference between creativity and efficiency before we try to understand the ecology of innovation. So creativity has the punchline: do it differently. That is creativity. And what is efficiency? Do it better is efficiency. And that's why efficiency is marked by certainty, predictability, and routine, while creativity is marked by uncertainty, unpredictability, and disruption. Now, when I go to the ecology of innovation, it actually forces an interaction, and this has many facets: design innovation, technical innovation, business innovation, political innovation, and social innovation. Now, what is design innovation? How we make it possible through visualization. Innovation, or how we make it feasible.
It's a voice break.
Okay. There.
Yes, sir. What you're saying?
May
Some voice issues there.
સર નમસ્કાર સર સોરી મારે એક એક્સપર્ટ હતું ને એટલે મારે આપવું પડ્યું madam, I'm another email connection.
Okay.
Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, okay, sure.
Dr. Shubha, check any network issue?
Yes, sir. Some network issue is there. He's again logging with another ID.
All participants are requested to keep their mic mute during the session. I think you asked us that they can keep their video off and share the screen, and they can use their own mic.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible now? Madam, am I audible? You are muted actually.
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Yeah.
So
you
now
have to enable my screen sharing. Yeah.
So you
okay.
can.
Done. Yeah. So I suppose my screen is visible now.
Yeah, it is visible.
Invisible? Yeah. Okay. So I was talking about the ecology of innovation, and my audio is flawless. There are no issues with my audio, or
No, sir. No,
still
sir.
my
No issues.
voice is breaking.
No, sir. No issues there now.
No issues. Fine. So we are talking about ecology of innovation, and in this, I was discussing this business innovation and other aspects. So let us try to understand. So basically what we try to focus here is very simple, and it's called the human-centered design. So when I talk about innovation, we already seen the quote in the beginning that when people talk about innovation, actually they think about design. And that's why we are just trying to address human-centered design. So what is this human-centered design? This human design you the price of the user experience, which we call quality of services or quality of experience. So quality of services or quality services is one. Above it, there is a new terminology which is given by this innovation ecosystem. It is called user experience. And if I want the finest of the user experience, what I try to bring here is nothing but the amalgamation of technology, people, design, and business. So when I say people and design, it gives me ideation, participatory design, collective creativity, and all this. Because design is majorly driving branding, marketing. So business and design, when they combine, they gives you branding, marketing, design thinking, and all this. But the overall melting pot is nothing but it is user experience. And this user experience has four major pillars: individual analysis, social analysis, cultural levels of analysis, reliability, validity, innovation, design research, and stakeholders, simplicity, usability, and all this. So what is human-centered design? So let me give you the human-centered design with this example. Now, in your screen, what actually you are observing is the design of one product, which we call the laptop. So the first figure, which is here, this is the laptops which you get some 8 to 10 years before. And now we are getting this edge laptops or notebooks which have this curved edges. And this curved edges is nothing but it is design innovation, because a lot of hardware modifications and hardware design optimization has taken place. And because of this hardware design optimization, we have reduced the size of the edges, and that's why you have got the curved edges. Now this is the hardware level design innovation, and which we call human-centered design, because when you carry these laptops, so far as breakage, maintenance, and other issues are concerned, these all are reduced with this curved edge devices, be it a mobile phone or a notebook or a laptop. So this is human-centered design innovation. Now, to create such kind of devices, this is another Apple example, in which when they actually launched iPhone 6, actually they made very minute design innovations. And you can see the hardware dimensions and the dimensionality reduction so far as all these design aspects are concerned. So basically what you try to create is you just try to create one device which is an embedded device. It's an electronic device, but this electronic device has so minute human-centered design parameters to be thought about, where everything is not only measured, but before developing the prototype, they actually spent hours and hours together to design one of the finest selling product, which is iPhone. Same we can extend to software. Here, same Apple example is continued, and in this example, you can very easily see that how do we create this software module, and all these screens are analyzed just to create a very effective operating system, which now we call iOS. So while designing the iOS and mobile operating system, they actually made this design innovation as center stage. Now this is done. Now we enter the innovation part. This is a misfit slide because it talks about design thinking. Business design thinking would be discussed by another speaker, so I won't be touching much upon the much of the topic. But here I just want to tell you here that we cannot say that the critical design, design thinking, and innovation design, they are three separate distinct islands. Actually, there are many connecting bridges, and these bridges actually creates this design thinking. So earlier we always used to see that our business and technology is different, and our design thinking is a very subset of design. But now the design thinking has taken a larger superset, and it has actually encircled our business ecology, our technology domain, as well as our design thinking. So that's how this has actually expanded. So when I think about design and innovation, I have to think about technological feasibility, business viability, and market desirability. Now, if I focus onto it, what actually I get? So while doing the innovation part, while doing the design innovation part, you have to think about need analysis, and then you can think about creating the product, and then building the product, testing the product, and then shipping it to your end users. But before that, you have to identify the primary need, you have to do the user research, and then you have to review and prioritize the stuff before developing the prototype and testing the prototype model. And that's why we call it experience innovation. So design thinking actually drives this experience innovation. But as I said, it cannot be created using a magic wand. So what actually you need is business viability, people desirability, and technological feasibility. Now, technological feasibility and business viability gives you process innovation. People desirability and technological feasibility gives you functional innovation. And business viability and people desirability gives you emotional innovation. But when I combine this emotional innovation, process innovation, and functional innovation, I get experience innovation. And that's where I get the innovative solutions. Now, how do I create these innovative solutions? So to find out that useful innovation part, we need to drive the design thinking. How useful innovation with design thinking is driven. So you have to ask three basic questions when you want to create this innovative product or innovation ecosystem. You said, can it be viable? Will people like it? Which will address your desirability question. And can we make it the feasibility part? And once all three answers actually comes in yes, very big yes, big yes, actually you get the viability. So if I want to find out the innovation spot, I have to add another, that is integrity part. So desirability, viability, and feasibility we already discussed in last 3 slides. Now combine it with integrity to analyze the impact part, you get the innovation spot. Once you get that, you actually enter this innovation process, and it's called design thinking innovation process. So this design thinking innovation process has 3 major verticals: inspire, ideate, and implement, and 2 horizontal blocks: abstract and concrete. So define the challenge, observe people, and form your insights. It may be empathy driven insight, it may be business viability driven insight, it may be business need driven insight, because it is rightly said that necessity is the mother of invention. So there are certain products, there are certain innovative practices which are the result or outcome of the need analysis. So form insights. Then you enter the abstract part in the ideate vertical. Frame the opportunities, brainstorm your ideas, and then you go into the implementation vertical. And in implementation vertical, whatever is your brainstorm ideas, you try to do these experiments repetitively, iteratively, and then you actually come up with the end of innovation process. So innovation process, which we have discussed or which we have started in the last slide, how we madam, is my camera on? Am I?
No, sir. Your camera is not on. Your voice is breaking right now. Am I audible, sir?
Okay.
It's okay now.
Okay. Let me correct it. Yeah, you are audible, madam. Yeah. But my camera is still off.
Off, sir. So
Okay.
you can put it off because it can take some of large internet consumption.
Bandwidth. Okay, fine.
अभी फिलहाल के-
Okay. So now we enter the design innovation process. Now, design innovation process has many facets. It has business dimensions, organizational behavior, human values, design and interactivity, and technology and manufacturing. So business actually, business aspects actually, they are in a different stuff. They talk about, they think about marketing, operations, finance, accounting, entrepreneurship, IT, and all this. Design and interactivity is all about HCI, human computer interaction, visual thinking, design for sustainability, and this. Human values thinks about psychology, anthropology, sociology. Manufacturing is all about manufacturing process, manufacturing technology, supply chain management, rapid prototyping. But when we come to technology aspects, technology is all about engineering analysis, statistics, dynamics, materials, bioengineering, programming methodology, platforms, programming platforms, thermodynamics, and all this. So basically, what we try to address here is design thinking in the direction of problem solving, innovation. So there is an inner circle which talks about map, decide, sketch, prototype. Map, decide, sketch, prototype, and test. But this inner circle has a very big outer circle which is dominated in the design sprint area. And this design sprint area says, for that, if there are no business model, you think about define, ideate, prototype, test, and empathize. So if I put them in a nutshell, it triggers down to this. It says ideation, which is dominated by brainstorming, implementation, which has everything to do with execution and communication, and then observation, which actually drives the inspiration part, like observe people, observe their working style, create your empathy model, tell these stories. So this is all about inspiration. So it's an iterative loop of inspiration, ideation, implementation, inspiration, ideation, and implementation. And basically what you try to create here is between ideation and implementation, there are prototypes which are supposed to be discussed. So once you develop the product or the prototype and your product is there, there are three major verticals: desirability, feasibility, and viability, which we already discussed. But the mapping of the perfect solution goes like problem fit, solution fit, and growth fit. So proof of value, proof of concept, proof of market, and proof of impact. We already told you that impact is one through which we. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay. And my screen is completely visible, but the screen is visible.
Yes, sir, visible, sir, properly.
Okay, fine. So we were discussing, let me go to the previous slide. So we are just trying to address the product, the prototype. So addressing the product, it has three layers: design layer, technology layer, and business layer. And when you just try to measure the needs to function flawlessly, needs to solve human problems, that's the design layer issue, and needs to generate revenue, that is the business layer aspects. So now we enter the second leg of my first part, that is the creativity, invention, and innovation. So what is creativity? The act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality is called creativity. What is invention? Creation of a new idea or a concept is invention. And what is innovation? Turning a new concept into commercial success or widespread use. Is called innovation. So Again, what is the difference between invention and innovation? Innovation is all about adaptive innovations, and invention is unrealized inventions, doing it for the first time. Archimedes, Newton, Albert Einstein, what they did, they were inventions. And if you combine them, innovative inventions. So let us try to understand invention versus innovation. Invention is a novel product or a device or a process or concept. Innovation is the introduction of a newer and better solution that meet new requirements or existing market needs. So something already exists, a product already exists, or a solution already exists. You are just trying to find out the betterment, the better way of presenting it, the better way of merging the solution, the better way of giving a better solution to the user community. That's innovation. Invention requires knowledge, competence, and financial aid. Innovation requires technical knowledge, competence, knowledge about market needs, trends, and financial support. The examples of invention is like invention of the printing press, Gutenberg, printing press, electricity, Thomas Alva Edison, telephone, Alexander Graham Bell. These are all inventions in the name of their inventors. Innovation is introduction of the iPhone. Touch screens were available, but how effectively Mr. Jobs inculcated the touch screen into iPhone, how he created the OS, which is like touch enabled movement from one screen to another screen, tablet, flat screen, TV. These are all examples of innovation. So let us try to compare invention and innovation, and there are various parameters of comparison. So meaning is the first parameter. Idea for a product or a process that has never been made before is called invention. Implementation of an idea for product or process for the very first time is innovation. What is invention? Creation of a new product. What is innovation? Adding value to something already exists. Concept wise, invention is an original idea and it's working in theory. Innovation is practical implementation of a new idea, is called innovation. Very good definition and comparison they have given. Skills required for invention is scientific skill. For innovation, the skill set required is marketing, technical, and strategic skills. Invention occurs when new idea strikes a scientist. It's like falling an apple, or for Isaac Newton, or eureka moment for Archimedes. These are when new idea strikes a scientist. Innovation is all about need for improvement in new product or the existing product. Invention is concerned with single product or process. Innovation has a lot to do with combinations of various products and processes. So far as activities are concerned, invention activities are limited to R&D department. But innovation, anybody on the shop floor, anybody in the marketing department or product department or inventory department. So it is spread across the entire spectrum of organization. So let us try to discuss some of the finest innovation examples. So far as technology, tech innovation is concerned, there are many like invention, like electricity. Fire was invention, but electricity is tech innovation. Semiconductor, the way we created semiconductor, because we had insulators and we have conducting materials. But when we found out the semiconducting material and when we created the semiconductor chips out of it, that was technology innovation. The internet, we used to connect computer systems in a room, but connecting all computer systems across the globe is the internet, the evolution, Sir Tim Berners-Lee. That's the innovation part. The internet is the tech innovation example. Product innovation, there are three examples: cars, planes, Wright brothers, and the iPad. Process innovations. Somebody thought about assembly line. That is process innovation. Kaizen, always improving something, adding some improvement every time. It's called Kaizen approach, Japanese approach. And in the innovation or startup ecosystem, lean startup is one word, and it is the complete startup setup is also the example of process innovation. What are the finance innovation? Earlier we used to have barter systems. So mortgage, the concept of mortgage in financial world is financial innovation. Derivatives, stock market, people who are familiar with stock market, derivatives. And after the startup ecosystem has taken shape, venture capitalist is the financial innovation of today's SSIP ecosystem. Cultural innovation, civil rights, and all the civil rights movements in European countries, United States, and in Asia, cultural innovation, entrepreneurship, and K-pop, legal innovations, corporations creating limited liability company, LLC, class action lawsuits, startup visa. The latest in legal innovation is startup visa. There are many countries which give startup visa. And ecosystem innovation, the complete ecosystem is developed, like development of Rome. And that's why it says Rome was not built in a day. London, New York Center, or Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is the best example of ecosystem innovation, in which we have created this Silicon Valley and a new breed of young entrepreneurs where golf culture is not there, suits and ties are not there. People wear tees and t-shirts and jeans, and they create billion-dollar companies from garages. That is ecosystem innovation. So let us understand the types of innovation. There are three major verticals: configuration, offering, and experience. In experience, there are four: service innovation, channel innovation, brand, and customer engagement innovation. Offering type, product performance, and product system. Configuration में profit model, network configuration, structure configuration, and processes. Let us enlarge what we have discussed in this slide. So what is brand innovation? Representation of your offerings and businesses is called brand innovation. What is service innovation? Support and enhancements that surround your offerings. What is network innovations? Connections with others to create value is network innovation. Like Uber, Ola, profit model, the way in which you make money. Best example is Amazon. Structural innovation, alignment of your talents and assets. Stand-up comedy, stand-up comedian, event managers. These are structural innovations, networking innovations. So configuration innovation, you need bolder concepts to implement profit model innovation or network innovation or process innovation. Offering innovation, it is platform centric. It is product performance or product system. Uber, Ola, Amazon. And experience innovation, experience centric innovation. It is customer engagement. This is the best example for channel or customer engagement is Amazon Prime. It is harder to copy. Service innovation, WhatsApp, Facebook, these are service level innovations, right, which creates experience centric innovation. Now, to implement this innovation ecosystem, I have to incubate the idea. So what is the mantra? The mantra is very clear: authentic learning or sustainable change. So from incubation to innovation, I drive the journey. And my journey actually passes through create, plan, imagine, synthesize, research, connect, and collaborate. In connect, it is heavily focused on communication. Verbalize findings and communication, celebrations, and all this. Synthesize is all about define. Imagine is about brainstorm. Plan is about analyze and develop. And research is about ask and listen and identify. Sir, एक expert session માં છું. 11:30 પછી urgent નથી ને કશું? હા. હા. હા હા સર કરું પછી તમને. So when I put all these 10 types of innovations into 4 major types, they are called breakthrough innovation, sustaining innovation, disruptive innovation, and basic research. Now, disruptive innovation is all about like venture capitalist model, which has really broken all the barriers of financial world, and it has really created a new financial model, which venture capitalist or venture capital model. And innovation labs, creating innovation labs, and startups are coming out of it. Unicorn startups dominating these disruptive innovations, sustaining innovation, right? R&D lab, design thinking, acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions. These are sustaining innovation practices. What are breakthrough innovations? Open innovations, open prizes, basic research innovations. So my invention, it starts with invention, generating ideas, then you develop and test, then you make the case, use cases, delivering and implementing, growing and scaling, and then changing the complete system. And when you change the complete system, it creates a very big impact model. सर मैं एक सेशन में हूं, अभी 11:30 बजे फोन करता हूं आपको. हाँ जी सर जी. So basically there are 4 major buzzwords for all the SSIP enthusiasts. It is called invention, innovation, improvement, and impact. Invention is a very small this in which opportunities, challenges, generated ideas. Then comes innovation, develop, test, and make the use case. And then comes the improvement part. That's where implementing, delivering, growing, scaling, changing systems, and then comes the impact. Now, anybody who wants to start his own startup company or who wants to go for POC and then want to scale his prototype, they have to pass through all these phases: invention, innovation, improvement, and impact. So design is all about experience and appearance. We always think design is only appearance, but that's not the case. Experience. And experience is all about emotion plus solution. Appearance is all about color and layout. That's how the design takes place. So let us discuss digital product innovation. So this is how the digital product innovation is being done. So user first approach, job to be done is the next mantra, and then you get the output. While looking at output, you are more bothered about goals and features. And when you want to think about job to be done, vision and strategy. So basically when you are thinking about digital products, you are actually addressing 3 market verticals: mature market, young market, and new market. And there are 3 customer types: low customer experience, medium customer experience, and high customer experience. Now your incremental innovation is part of young and medium market and high market. But breakthrough innovation is all about mature market with high customer experience. But if you want to go for disruptive innovation, you are addressing mature market, but you are addressing actually low customer experience. And these are various principles which are followed at Google, where Google says ideas are everywhere. Customer focus, 10 and more. 10% is the Google famous program in which they created, where every employee has to spend 10% of the time developing something which is not part of his job profile. And this is applicable to majority of the Google employees. One more time, 10% is the concept Google launched to its employee, where every employee, majority of the employee has to spend 10% of the time developing products or prototypes, which is not part of his job profile. And through this 10% program, they have come up with solutions like Maps, Google Maps, Gmail, and all this. Rely on the data, launch and correct it. Now, we are done with innovation part, and now I'm entering the second part of my session, that is critical thinking. So what is critical thinking? Since the human race has taken over the earth, there are 2 major aspects. There are 2 major traits which has defined the way humans used to operate. It's called creative thinking and critical thinking. Now, what is creative thinking? See, creative thinking is all about writing a poem, writing a novel, writing a script, film script, direction, music, culture, art, creating various ragas, performing, acting, sculptures, drawing, painters. These are all creative thinking part. The rest is critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is all about problem solving approach. Critical thinking is all about looking at the problem, dividing them into sub problems, and then try to find out individual solutions, and then combining the solutions to find out the larger set of solutions. So critical thinking and creative thinking, and that's why creative thinkers are people who, as I said, are like scientists, or they are poets, writers, novel writers, uh, design creators, sculptors, people who are associated with art, various forms of art, music, and all this. Creative people, creative bunch of people. Critical thinkers are majorly engineers, problem solving approach, and all these people. So what is creative thinking? The traits are imagine, invent, change, design, and create. What is critical thinking? Analyze, break down, compare, sequence, ranking, listing. These are all critical thinking approach. What is problem solving? Problem solving is combining, improve, design, refine, combine. So here I present you problem solving as combinations of critical and creative thinking. There are certain traits of critical thinking which are very much part of problem solving, like issues, critical thinking, like acquiring competencies, contradictions, and all this. So in problem solving, we try to define the problem and then we implement the solution. But for that, you have to take the subsection of critical thinking and creative thinking. And what is that subsection? Solution, building hypothesis, outcomes, implications, strategies, evaluations, they are part of this. So critical thinking, if I look at in a larger perspective, it starts with analyze, then interpret, then evaluate, then make decisions out of the various solutions or solution parameters available, and then problem solving. That's what critical thinking is all about. So critical thinking skill, the author says, critical thinking is the ability to think for yourself. Critical thinkers ask questions to learn information, compare facts, and create their own conclusions. So critical thinking is all about reasoning capability, evaluating ability, and problem solving approach. So if I combine these three, I can find out the overall spectra of critical thinking: evaluating abilities, problem solving approach, and reasoning capabilities. So if I expand that understanding, critical thinking is all about higher order thinking skill. So it has got create, analyze, synthesis, evaluation, and all this. So what is evaluation? When you ask questions like, so what is next, what if, these are evaluation part. Betterment is associated with create. Analysis, how, when you ask how questions, you are actually entering the analysis domain. And synthesis is all about connecting and combining solutions or semi-solutions. So creative thinking is the thinking we do when we generate ideas, and critical thinking is the thinking we do when we judge ideas. Now, this is very fundamental difference. One more time, I'll repeat it for you. Creative thinking is the thinking we do when we generate ideas, and critical thinking is the thinking we do when we judge the ideas. So what are the major aspects of creative thinking? Pose questions, imagining various possibilities, brainstorm solutions, elaborate, improvise, chase inspiration, speculations, using your intuition capabilities, and defer judgments. But critical thinking is all about posing questions, consider various perspectives, identifies the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages, determine the causes, predict the effects, consider alternatives, avoid assumptions, look for proof, and all this. There are various thinking styles: divergent thinking, abstract thinking, holistic thinking, lateral thinking, intuitive thinking. These are all creative thinking. So creative thinking styles, there are 5: divergent, abstract, holistic, lateral, and intuitive. What is intuitive? very imaginative moment, very eureka moment is intuitive thinking. What is lateral thinking? Thinking out of box is lateral thinking. What is holistic thinking? Cohesive or collaborative thinking style is holistic thinking. Abstract, ऊपर उठ के सोचना, that's abstract thinking. Divergent thinking, considering all various aspects of thinking styles, divergent thinking. But logical thinking, there are again 5 types: convergent, concrete, analytical, critical, and sequential. And if you look them very carefully, all our engineering disciplines majorly focus on problem solving approaches, on critical thinking approaches. And these logical thinking styles actually match our need of critical thinking. And what are they? Convergent thinking, analytical abilities, critical thinking, sequential thinking, sequential abilities, concrete abilities, and all this. So there are various critical thinking skills: observation, analysis, inference, communicate, and problem solving. So what is observation? Observation is nothing but the ability to notice and predict opportunities, problems, and solutions. What is analysis part of critical thinking skill? The gathering, understanding, and interpreting of data and other information is analytical ability. Inference, drawing conclusions, drawing inferences out of the situation or context is called inference skill, based on relevant data, information, and personal knowledge and experience. Communication skill is all about sharing and receiving information with others, verbally, non-verbally, and in writing. And then problem solving thinking skill. Am I audible, madam? Is it going perfect?
Yes, sir. Perfect, sir.
Okay. Problem solving is all about the process of gathering, analyzing, and communicating information to identify and troubleshoot solutions. So there is a difference between creativity and intelligence. Now, it is very important for engineers to understand the difference. And that's why after the logical and this thinking style, I have kept this slide. Creativity is all about ability to perceive things in a novel manner, create new ideas, new concepts, and to make innovative creations. Intelligence is all about ability to acquire knowledge and to utilize it accordingly. So intelligence is all about asking the right questions. If somebody asks you that what is intelligence, in a novice way, you can say that intelligence is asking the right questions. Creativity is all about putting your questions in a rightful manner. So creativity is primarily used with the concepts of imagination, talents, and innovativeness. Intelligence is used in a wider scope along with the aspects of creativity, knowledge, logic, rational thinking. So problem solving approach has background, then condition, then analysis, and then plan. So if I put the problem solving process, it starts with a problem, then you set the goal, then you brainstorm the solutions. After brainstorming the solutions, you choose the solution, and then you make an action plan, and then you create the enjoyable activities through which you just try to achieve the amicable solution. So problem solving approach actually passes this 7-stage process, and you take one stage at a time. So in the first stage, when you are at the ground position, you define the problem. Then you analyze the problem. Then you establish the criteria. Then you consider various possible amicable solutions. Then after doing brainstorming and all this, you decide on one solution, one particular solution. Then you implement that particular solution after studying the feasibility part and all this. And then you follow up on the solution. So these are various problems of problem solving. So we are discussing problems of problem solving. So the first, when you are addressing a real problem, what are the problems you face while doing this problem solving? So problems are attributed to people and blamed. Problems are suppressed or hide the problem. Problems not being recognized early, not changing with circumstances, it's also actually the problem. Poor diagnosis is also the problem. So the problem solving process, when you put them in a group, it's all about define the problem, analyze the problem, generate the possible solutions, evaluate the solutions, and implement and assess the solution. If I enlarge that problem solving matrix, I can say that it has 6 major dimensions: planning, measurement, analysis, assessment, monitoring, and implementation. So what is planning component? Recognize symptoms, set up a team, identify the main problem, and then you can bifurcate into problem number 1, 2, 3, like select the problem. Then comes the measurement part. There are 2 kinds: qualitative measurement, quantitative measurement. Then comes analysis. So first is possible causes, cause number 1, 2, 3, likewise. Then gap analysis. Then identify the root cause of the problem, and then try to find out the possible solutions. Solution 1, 2, 3, and then select the solution. Then comes implementation. So plan the solution. When you plan the solution in implementation part, you actually have targets, budget, schedule, steps, resources, training, and measurements as parameters and constraints also. Then once your solution is planned, you pilot the solution, put the pilot project to get the solution, implement the solution, and then you have to document the solution. And then after monitoring, measure results, compare the results against the targets, try to find out the gap and try to bridge the gap. And then assessment, short-term assessment, long-term assessment. So long-term assessment actually drives towards process control. Short-term assessment is all about regular reports, progress meetings, corrective actions. So what are the elements of complete problem solving process? Sources of problem. You have to first know how to assess if current condition is not the desired condition. Then problem selection criteria, to know which problems to start from and where to focus resources. Then comes roles and responsibilities in problem solving, to know who should do what. Then training the system. Then set of problem solving tools. You can find out various apparatus, various kinds of appropriate methods to get the solutions, and then monitoring the system. So when we think about critical thinking, this is one slide which actually speaks volume. See, since human actually started, the human evolution started, it was the first industrial revolution which got started after 1750. So 1760 to 1820, almost 80 years, 60 years, it was the first industrial revolution. And this first industrial revolution was propelled by the steam revolution, the power of steam engine, the power of steam, the power of fire, and the conversion of fire into steam, and then driving various machines and equipments through this is the first industrial revolution. And it was marked by steam engines and the power of steam. The second industrial revolution lasted almost for 80 years. And it was marked by the invention of electricity. And the complete credit goes to Thomas Alva Edison. So Thomas Alva Edison and Nikola Tesla, AC current and DC current, but majorly electricity. So second industrial revolution, which became the epitome of mass production, procuring the goods, procuring the raw materials from Asian countries, and then European mills, European factories, European and American factories and shop floors, making mass production like hundreds and thousands of units every day production. That is industrial revolution. And the second wave of industrial revolution, as I said, is marked by electricity, the power of electricity. And that's where we started creating hydel power and other sources of power through coal and all this. So that's where we just try to create the larger check dams, the dams and electricity generations, and even the GDP of a country used to dominated by the electricity it used to produce. The third industrial revolution is marked through computing devices and machines. The number of computers, the number of supercomputers one country owns marks the efficacy of that country in the overall world ranking. And this industrial revolution started with ENIAC and other systems, and then first generation computer, second generation computer. And as I said, the software dominating the hardware, and then the hardware and software making a golden handshake to create value addition companies. And that's where all these Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all these revolutionary companies actually came. Any two gentlemen sitting in a garage can create a company which in a very small span of 20-25 years can become a multi-billion-dollar company. And this is the third way of industrial revolution, which is dominated by computing devices. And this industrial revolution is not stopped yet. It has really become many-fold, multi-folded industrial revolution. Supercomputers became wearable devices, ubiquitous access, and then two major revolutions: telecommunication revolution through mobile devices and internet. And internet taking over the whole world. And this is one major innovation, ecology innovation I'm talking about. And now in today's era, we have already entered the era of fourth industrial revolution. And this fourth industrial revolution is all about intelligence. Information and communication technology is not today's part. It is new normal. Intelligence is new normal, where we talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, cyber physical systems, IoT, that is Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things, connected devices, big data, analytics, data science. So this is fourth industrial revolution, and it is marked by intelligence, where we are trying to create artificial intelligence, then artificial general intelligence, AGI, and then after in 2050, artificial super intelligence, where the machines have the capability to take over the robot, the humans. Artificial general intelligence would be part of 30s and 40s, where machines would have the equal opportunity or capabilities like that of the human beings. Artificial general intelligence, where machine will be at par with the human thinking skill, human cognitive ability, human ability. Right now we are in the era of artificial narrow intelligence, but it is intelligence era. And this fourth industrial industrial revolution is intelligence, and it is all about machine learning, robotics, newer systems, nanotechnology, nanoscience, customized drugs, pharmaceutical innovation, atomic level innovation, bit level innovations, intelligence. So with this, I conclude my session, and I've kept almost 9 minutes for question answer sessions. I end my session with a quote from Mr. Steve Jobs: "Computers are like a bicycle for our minds." This is from Mr. Steve Jobs. And with this, I conclude my.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really very nice experience to listen you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have covered generally all of various aspects of innovation, entrepreneurship, critical thinking, and design thinking. And definitely, this design thinking and critical thinking are very important in terms of if suppose that we are going to do something, means go for some innovation. So you have discussed like the key steps of design thinking, advance from an understanding of human needs and interest to the testing and prototyping of ideas in relation to their impact and efforts. And more recently, design thinking has been shown to promote critical thinking also. And to be effective in bridging the gap between individuals and policymakers in conditions that lie outside conventional problems of definitions. Where photo voice encourages the discussion of themes within photographs, photo voice studies, and most of the things you have covered in your this impact. Am I audible, sir?
Now you are audible. In
Okay,
between, I lost your audio.
Okay, sir. Okay, some technical issues there. So most of the things you have covered in this session, and like design thinking, critical thinking, all the means whatever required for an innovation, whatever required for an entrepreneur. So all the aspects are covered, and definitely this session proves very beneficial for the students, for the stakeholders, for the entrepreneurs, innovators, those who joined today. And I requested to the student, if they have any question they can ask directly, or they may write in chat also, so I can read. And most of the students join live actually, sir. So if I received any question, I directly mail to you, and you can give the answer for that. So for now I requested, I think there is no question right now. I'm not seeing any question. So I'm requested to director sir to say a few words before closing the session. Hello, Director sir. Hello. Am I audible, sir? Am I audible? Am I audible, sir? Hello. Am I audible, sir?
पहले मैंने एक्चुअली थोड़ा लंबा प्रेजेंटेशन बनाया था, बट देन आई थॉट शायद टाइम का वो रह जाए तो.
Yes, sir. Sir, the presentation is very nice.
And I think there is no question from any of the participants side. If I receive any,
I can write
write
to your
your
mail.
mail. And I requested to Director Sir to say a few words before closing the session. I think some technical issues there.
Yes.
Maybe no issue. Sir, thank you so much for being here and for being a part of this impact session. And definitely, whatever the AICT and whatever the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell has decided to think this particular impact lecture definitely gives some impact on society, definitely provide impact on those who are in the field of innovation and those who are in the field of startups or entrepreneurs. As recently our Prime Minister said in Glasgow summit also, and that today's era is coming to come up with some of the prominent solutions as the climate is changing very rapidly. So we have to think in that way also to save our climate. And thank you so much, sir. Here I am going to end
because I'm innovation ambassador also. Just share 3 to 4 screenshots of this event. And if you are creating any in-house report, this event report, impact lecture series report, you can share the Word file to me so that I can also prepare my report accordingly and put it on the Innovation Ambassador website.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. Actually, it is desirable condition from the impact lecture session, means rules and regulation, whatever I received from the AICT, I will definitely prepare the report and definitely share with you.